Welcome to Strip Coverlet, where we squeeze the bigger picture of literature. I'm Adrian Ford.
And I'm Dalton Gentry.
And you're all fucking degenerates.
Well, that's a way to start.
Yeah.
You just give that a good pop. This is Adrian Reed's Harry Potter. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Chapter 7, Chapter 8. Yeah.
Not much happens.
Well, you know, we've run into that problem a lot lately. And sometimes, you know, with 2 chapters at a time, you just get the movement.
I'm going to be real honest, though. I don't know if I can do 3 chapters anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do 3 chapters anymore.
2 chapters, a little more comfortable. It's
Look,
a thing.
this is how bad it's getting. One of my notes this week is to highlight this quote so I can read it.
Okay, quote me.
She flapped her hands at thin air, as though she was beating off large invisible moths.
Just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, that's what I'm catching now.
Okay, all right.
That's where I'm at with this text.
Anyway,
this
is Chapter 7, Chapter 8. This is the Slug Club and Snape victorious. So finally you get a good Snape chapter again. So.
The Slug Club is a terrible name because of the G-C transition.
You don't like Slug Club?
No.
No?
Slug Club.
Okay. Anyway, Slug Club. The kids are basically escorted to King's Cross, taken to the train by oars. Everything's a little dangerous now, so we got to take some extra precautions. That's a thing. There's a bottle of water here. And then finally, Harry tries to eavesdrop in on Malfoy and ends up with a broken nose. That's really our highlights here.
Yeah.
We do have the Slug Club itself. Basically, we find out that Slughorn is vetting the students, basically, to see who's got the potential, who's going to be making him famous. Kind of has a little dinner party. Anyway, Chapter 8, Snape victorious. Tonks ends up finding Harry in the train, gets him to Hogwarts on time, a little late, but on time. And Snape is the one who actually escorts him back. And we find out that Slughorn is the potions professor.
Yeah.
Because Snape is now the Defense Against the Dark Arts instructor. So I think we got some stuff to work on there.
Did you want to start there?
Do you want to start there? You just want to jump right in with that?
Yeah. So Snape dies. There is no way around it at this point.
Okay.
Becoming the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher means you do not appear in the next book. The next book being the final chapter of the Harry Potter series. Right?
No.
No!
No.
I thought there was just one book.
Well, there is one final book, but
yeah.
I'm going to say you're wrong because we had in book 3, Remus Lupin was the Defense Against the Dark Arts professor.
Did he appear in the next book, or was it the book after?
He's been in all the subsequent books.
Yeah.
He was just fired because he was a werewolf.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we got
A little bit of homophobia going on there.
we got some things to work on here.
If you go back to those videos, that's not me making a judgment. It's in the text, I think.
Okay. But Slughorn is going to be our potions professor, so Snape has finally got his way here. And this is 8 chapters into this book here. 2 have been dedicated to Snape. Yeah. So clearly we are building up. There is a lot going on here with Snape.
Because he's dead?
He's not dead. He's fine.
I will believe that he dies before I will believe that What's-His-Face is dead.
What's his face?
Uncle What's-His-Face.
Uncle What's his face? Sirius?
Sirius.
Okay, Sirius is dead. We've established this at this point.
I don't think so.
He is dead. Tonks is upset that he's dead. Everyone said he's dead. He's dead.
All right.
When you're dead, you're dead. But anyway, with Snape again as the Defense Against the Dark Arts instructor, this brings a lot more forward. We have seen some kind of collusion with Snape and the Death Eaters with the Draco Malfoy promise.
Right, but we've also seen that he's a double agent, so...
Okay, but Snape is a known Death Eater, so I think we're going to get a very different sense, maybe, of Defense Against the Dark Arts, because now we have somebody who knows his stuff. Now, we did have that with Remus Lupin, we did have that with Moody, but this is kind of the opposite here. This is...
Well, but it wasn't really Moody.
It wasn't really Moody, but this is the actual bad guy. This is the Death Eater who knows his stuff, teaching the students now. So maybe we're going to get some darker stuff going on here, hopefully. Maybe a little bit more appealing things to Adrian. We'll see. Any preliminary thoughts on how that's going to work out and the impacts of having a different potions instructor?
Well, Snape's dead.
Okay, Snape's dead.
Dalton's going to come in and start teaching things in potions that had not been taught before.
Okay. Feel good about that?
And I think that it's going to bring Snape's credibility into question.
Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. I think we are going to, if I recall, we are going to be jumping straight into that. Straight into that. Of a little bit of difference in teaching styles here and how that's going to go the next chapter. So hopefully we got that to look forward to here. Now, Snape is still just as hard on Harry as ever. He's late to, the opening ceremonies, whatever you want to call them, for Hogwarts. He immediately takes 50 points from Gryffindor. They're in the negative, and he makes the point of saying, I don't believe, a house has ever started the school year in the negatives, Mr. Potter. Well done. So Snape is still the good old same Snape. So we'll see how that works out a little bit.
I'm not sure if this was intentionally in the text or if it was just one of those things that... Because it seems a lot like J.K. Rowling adds things as an afterthought, but Snape makes sure that Harry Potter does not wear the invisibility cloak.
Okay.
When Harry Potter meets his friends, he's got blood all over his face.
He does.
So was Snape trying to parade about Harry Potter with blood all over his face to take him down a peg? Or is that one of those things that later on J.K. Rowling was like, oh shit, well, he's supposed to be bloodied up.
Yeah, I put that in there. I remember that.
And why didn't Tonks say anything about it?
Okay, well, Tonks did repair his nose.
Yeah, but then she didn't say, yeah, you got some stuff on your face.
Yeah, fair point there. It's a good writing point. Yeah, that's a little bit of gray area there. Editor must have caught that and be like, you're bloody. What are you going to do about that?
Right.
How do you feel about Nymphadora Tonks? Because we're getting more and more of her.
Her character has changed.
Her character has changed.
Not evolved, but changed.
Okay. She's kind of going through a bit of a funk right now. This whole thing with Sirius is definitely bothering her. She blames herself.
She'll be good when he comes back.
Okay, and we're going to bank on that? I don't know. I'm serious. I want a giant board in the background here of like Adrian predictions that we can either cross off when they're right or cross off when they're wrong.
Yeah.
Now, we did mention last week, I do mention, I try to throw in some comments here and there. Last week I talked about how I kind of want you to rewrite Harry Potter the way you think it should have been. People are in love with that idea. Absolutely in love with it.
I don't have the time to get out the stories I want to get out. I wouldn't have time to correct everything that J.K. Rowling has done.
Somebody's like, they asked, so what do you think it'd be like if Adrian rewrote Harry Potter? I'm like, I'm pretty sure it'd be like a 3-page short story and everyone would die.
Yeah, I mean, Harry Potter, I was just going to say, it wouldn't be a series. Harry Potter would definitely die in the first one.
Okay. All right.
He would no longer be the boy that lived.
The boy who didn't live.
The boy who lived.
It is a
little while.
Strange trope of young adult literature, though.
What's that?
I've said this about The Hunger Games. I know you haven't read The Hunger Games. Not a bad read, enjoyable. However, there was a choice made at the end. It could have been one decent book, but instead it was 4 trash books.
Yeah.
It always seems, it's the very Hollywood-esque thing that seems to be part of young adult fiction of we're going to drag it out, we're going to have another year. We're going to have a sequel, and that sequel is going to have a trilogy. Would this have been better if it was a one-book thing?
It definitely would have been better for me.
Fair.
This has been a 3-year thorn in my side. I don't know. I try to give credit where credit is due, and though these books are terrible and racist and misogynist and ageist and fat-shaming, got a lot of kids into reading.
It did. And that was one of the reasons that I really wanted to do this series, is this was a big part of my childhood, as it was for a lot of people, so that's a good thing. You can't bash that at all. Malfoy.
Also, we get another terrible trope in here, the money-sucking wife.
Okay.
What was her name? She pops up at the end of the reading here. She's had 9 husbands or whatever. She pops up in the Slug Club chapter. Somebody's mother or somebody was a beautiful witch.
Okay.
Who had 7 husbands who all died
mysteriously. Who all died mysteriously, yes. Okay, so kind of a Black Widow kind of thing going on here.
Yeah, another terrible trope.
All right, well, let's talk about the Slug Club a little bit. Not the chapter, but just the idea of the Slug Club. How are you feeling about that?
I don't like the name.
Oh, you don't like that? Why don't you like the name? Could you break down the linguistics behind it?
Can you?
No.
You'll be able to soon, huh?
Will I? We'll find out. That was just like the greatest lead up, next week on Strip Cover Lit. Will they figure it out?
Slug Club. I'm not sure what you're asking.
Well, it was made very clear that Slughorn likes to keep those in fame, those who do well, close to him. Stop smiling. Close to him. However, we see this before they even get to Hogwarts. He's already invited a select few. A bunch of people we've never heard of here, Harry Potter, obviously, and Ginny Weasley as well, because he saw potential in Ginny Weasley.
Well, I think that's probably a cover for something else.
Okay.
A lot of times during these texts, we have something that seems circumstantial and it ends up being explained sometime later. And really, I was noticing this week, that's one of the things that is... I'm going to sidetrack. Is there a larger point?
Go ahead, sidetrack.
One of the reasons these texts are so laborious is that we've got the chapter where Harry sneaks into Drago's den, right, with Blaze, and he mentions, I think my shoes flashed when I was jumping up on this counter, and then when Drago catches him, I saw your shoes flash when you jumped up on the counter. Everything is so laboriously written.
Okay.
So heavy put down on the page that you read it and you're like, oh, well, this is going to come back. And it's going to come back. It's not only going to come back. It would be enough if we know that Drago saw his shoes, or there was a chance, so that when Drago then attacks him, we know, oh, okay, he saw his shoes. But then Drago has to tell him, I saw your shoes, and I heard it when the trunk hit you. Right?
Okay.
So I understand, maybe, and this is going to be the excuse. The excuse people are going to use is, well, you're teaching children how to forecast things. You're teaching children foreshadowing.
All right.
These books are not written for children anymore.
Okay.
These books are not written for children.
Now, you've made this argument a few times now, as this has gone away from being written for children. This is
But
now
it's still
being
children's literature.
written for adults. So, interesting point there. It is a little heavy-handed, that is for sure. And again, that is the argument we're going to go to there, is, it is written for children. However, maybe just poor writing style?
Yeah, no, it's terrible, and I think this is probably the reason that her adult novel came out and crashed.
Okay.
Right? Everyone said that it was written like... Everyone that I heard talk about it said that it was written like children's literature.
Okay. Now, the whole scene with Draco and Harry in the Slug Club. Draco obviously catches Harry. Not only does he stun him, petrifies him, but then he basically breaks his nose.
Yeah.
Kicks him in. So we get a little bit more physical violence here. We're getting away from the magical world. We're starting to assume more realistic things here. Kind of like, we'll look at a Dark Knight scenario here. We've kind of got the, the campy Batman out of the way. We're starting to look to more grit, more realism. That might be a good thing. Even if we're trying to capture different audiences here, maybe you need that more gruesome realism.
Well, but it's still nerfed.
Okay.
If he were a bad guy, he'd have killed him.
Fair.
He wouldn't say, oh, well, I'm going to break your nose and let you end up in London.
He's still a child, though.
Is he?
Well, at 16.
And he's a Death Eater.
Okay.
Right? Like, he's supposed to be the bad of the bad. And the worst he's going to do is stun him and then play hide and seek by dragging an invisibility cloak over him.
All right.
That is incredibly nerfed. There are no real stakes. He's going to wake up in London and have to find his way to Hogwarts. That's the worst case scenario.
Okay. So, Harry...
Am I wrong about that?
Not necessarily.
It's nerfed.
I hate how you always have to be like, well, you make a damn good point, but you do make a damn good point. Now, Harry, in this particular chapter here, is eavesdropping, and Malfoy is apparently aware of what he's doing, and Malfoy makes the point of saying, well, you didn't figure out anything that I didn't want you to know, Potter. So obviously we're seeing some foreshadowing here. Malfoy has something he doesn't want him to know. But does Harry really benefit from anything here?
Not that I can see.
Okay.
He understands, I think at this point you have to take for granted that nothing is going to happen to him serious because the Order of the Phoenix is watching his every move.
Okay.
Right? So he's got a little bit of insurance.
Okay. And we are in an era of heightened protection. I mean, orders are taking them to and from King's Cross. Everything is very protected. And Hagrid, Dumbledore actually says during his welcome back to school speech that we're basically in dangerous times. Voldemort is back. Things are different. We are not going to be taking risks this year. You need to be protected. Now, another thing...
And then he handed out the cake with his good hand.
With his good hand. Now, that's what I was just getting to here. How you feeling about Dumbledore's hand here? Any ideas what we got going on with this?
It seems to be something that is irreversible.
Okay. Now, it was brought up that sometimes old magic and very powerful curses are irreversible.
Well, so's the death curse, right?
So's the death curse. So we do have a bit of permanence here, and there seems to be some damage Dumbledore's undergone somewhere between the summer of the 5th and the 6th year here.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into that for sure.
I imagine it was just, it's a Friday night. Diddly Door seems to be alone. He's just cooking a pizza, forgot to put the thing on his hand.
He just burned himself on the oven. Happens to the best of us, man. I was cooking once, and I was making bacon. I'm like, I bet bacon grease just tastes delicious. Put it right in my mouth. Terrible decisions were made.
Wow,
Terrible
how did that turn
decisions were
out?
made. Not well, not well.
That's got to be a third-degree burn.
Maybe old Dumbledore just burnt himself on the bacon grease. We'll figure it out. But we are going to get into that. That's an important thing there.
He's changing the vat of fries. That is part-time.
He's got to work part-time. Teachers don't make a lot.
Don't make a lot at all.
Don't make a lot.
There are teachers who watch the show. Chime in.
Now, still, the idea of the Slug Club, because I do think that's a very interesting thing, especially if this is a children's book, is the idea of not only are your teachers playing favorites with you, but they're basically picking the favorites that are going to benefit them.
Well, it feels a lot more like college, doesn't it?
It does, and
You're
maybe
picking research assistants,
And we did have the argument, I think maybe last week, a couple weeks ago, that in the wizarding world you're considered an adult at 17. So these kids would probably be maybe their senior year of high school, getting ready to go to college. Maybe that's a bit more of an adult teaching perspective, but still not the fairest of things here.
Right.
Do you think there's anything coming from that? Slughorn, I believe at one point they said he's almost as old as Dumbledore. He's old. He's been around a long time. He's done this for a lot of years. How many students has he seen? Who has been in that Slug Club that may have affected things?
To whom he has links?
Yes.
Moldavort?
Possibility.
It's a likelihood, especially as he was a Slytherin professor.
A Slytherin professor, and Tom Riddle at the time was considered a very well thought of student, very bright, very intelligent. So we are looking at the possibility that maybe old Voldemort himself had been in the Slug Club.
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit of a plot thickening there.
Did you just use one of my names?
Did I?
I think you said Moldavort.
They really rub off on you,
Yeah.
and when you're trying to translate between, the multiple names that you sling every 5 seconds, it's rough. It really is.
It must be.
It's trying
for
sometimes.
lesser beings.
Anything you really want to touch on with these chapters here?
So the one thing that really sticks out, we've got a touch of racism here, I think. I'll jump into this first, and then I'll backtrack at something else. There's a Tupac song with the lyric, "There's not a war on poverty, there's a war on drugs so the cops can bother me."
Okay.
So the inference there, one of the stereotypes that is often held against the black community is the stereotype of drugs.
Okay.
Right? Here, we are introduced to a black character who is introduced as black, and now that I'm thinking about black with a lowercase b.
Okay.
Not even the capital B, JK. Get up with the times. But in his description, we are noted towards his slanting eyes. His name is Blaze.
Okay.
Tell me these do not sound like drug references.
Well, they do.
What do slanting eyes sound like?
It sounds like he's maybe smoking a little bit of something. Mm-hmm. They've been blazing up.
Yeah. What is Blaze? Blaze is definitively a drug reference. So,
Interesting.
JK, you never caught that.
I didn't actually.
You never caught
Nope.
that. With a character named Blaze.
Glazed right over it.
Glazed over Blaze.
Glazed over the blaze.
What else this does, though, is this retroactively blows JK's cover as far as being able to say, being able to state, being able to infer, well, I always thought that Hermione was black. I wrote Hermione as a black character. Well, you didn't introduce her that way, and you've introduced other minorities as their color.
Okay.
So we can infer that the rest of these characters, unless they are noted, are white. right?
Right.
If you are introducing characters and in their description explicitly state their race, their color, then what you're doing is you're removing your own cover for being able to retroactively state that some characters are not. So she made the statement, I believe, that she always thought Dumbledore was gay.
Okay.
Well, she can make that statement because as far as I know, sexuality is not really noted in here at all.
Okay.
None of these characters are introduced as heterosexual, right?
Correct. However, not here yet, but we are going to get a bit more about Dumbledore's past that would lead some inferences towards that a little later on.
Okay, well, still, then.
At this point, we're 6 books in.
6 years in.
Fair. Now, I think it's interesting that we're talking about drugs, whether at an illegal level or a pharmaceutical level, with Harry Potter when we have the idea of potions. Because we have been introduced to a potion before that is considered technically illegal. Steroids, if you will, Felix Felicis, when old Ron took over, did a little good for himself.
What book was that?
That was not... Just ignore that I said that. Ignore that I said that. I'm mixing my Harry Potter books up there. Let's talk about that in a couple weeks, why don't we? We'll, damn! We've been doing this for how many years? I think that is the first time I've tried to jump ahead instead of jump back. But let's talk about potions and illegal potions and things like that soon.
Well, it makes you wonder about things like performance-enhancing drugs.
Excuse me, you jump ahead once in a couple of years and you feel bad about yourself. I'm very good at trying to keep every comment I have veiled and try to push you towards the right direction, but I want to come back to that comment in a few weeks, okay?
Okay.
Anything else you want to touch on here?
The name Cormac McLagan. If you want to talk about racist stereotypes, JK, I know it's other white people you're picking on there, but Cormac McLagan. I don't know. I'm sort of done with the whole. It's so hard. Okay, I know you weren't prepared for this. I know you didn't ask for this. Take a little bit of time and sell me on Harry Potter. For the love of Christ. 20-page chapters, 2 chapters at a time at this point, in a 7-day week, I'm struggling to get through.
Okay.
I am hurting because of.
Okay.
Sell me on Harry Potter.
This is a series, whether you like it or not, whether the writing is good or not, wholeheartedly captivated a global audience.
So did Twilight.
Captivated a global audience, and this was the first real young adult reader phenomenon.
No.
Absolutely. To this level, absolutely.
To this level. But to say that this was the first young reader phenomenon, I think that you're glossing over a myriad of possibilities. Smaller books, sure.
Smaller books. But at this level, created a global phenomenon, which, Twilight was a big deal. We mentioned that before. But still does not hold the gusto that Harry Potter has. The theme parks globally have been built just to, put kids into this fantasy world. This is a world-building phenomenon.
Okay, so I think we're 5 years apart?
Yes.
And I think this is a generational gap thing.
It is.
I
read this as a child.
I don't mean this. I mean your reasoning here.
Okay.
My generation is not easily sold on hype.
Okay.
What you're doing is you're hyping it. You're not selling me on it.
Okay.
You're saying everyone likes it, shouldn't you?
Okay.
Which, if you would indulge me, is sort of a product of your generation.
It is. I would say so.
Now, obviously, every generation has that to a point. Otherwise, Coca-Cola would have never caught on. But it's a weird reference to make. But tell me what it is in the text or the story or the mythos or the experience that I need. Tell me why, so you know me, tell me why Adrian would like it. Tell me why Adrian needs it.
I understand.
Because I can stomach a lot of things I don't like,
Okay.
but I need.
I can understand the difficulty of reading this as an adult. I do. But you have to read it from the mindset of, a child on this. This was very captivating. This was Adrian Fort. As a child, you could go to the bookstore and you could pull an 900 page book off the shelf. The same book that your teachers are reading. And you can follow right along. And you can envelop yourself in that world. And this was also another opportunity if you wanted to go out and you wanted to talk to somebody about books. Go read Harry Potter. Because all your friends are going to be able to talk to you about this. This got kids into reading. This opened up new pathways for people. Gave them an outlet to speak about books. Gave them the opportunity to experience, at a very young age, what reading should be about. The opportunity of reading something, enjoying it so much that you can go out and talk to someone about it. Hold a conversation about it.
I don't like children.
Fair.
Sell this to Adrian Fort, the 33-year-old curmudgeon. Just something. Give me some wriggling little thing in there for which I can search, through which I can live.
I'm going to leave this way, because I'm not sure I can give you a good answer right now.
Awesome.
But I'm going to leave it to the comments. If somebody thinks they can sell this 100% to Adrian Fort, because people who watch this are probably just as well versed with Adrian Fort as I am at this point.
Probably more so.
Because honestly, this is the only time we ever talk.
Yeah.
Sell Harry Potter to Adrian Fort.
Dalton will read them and come back next week and sell them. If there's enough, maybe we'll do a special video for it.
Absolutely. If we can flood some comments here, we will sell Adrian on Harry Potter. We'll have a good old Harry Potter auction next week.
I would
bring the gavel.
I would love to be able to... I'm not going to enjoy this. I would love to be able to find use in this. I tried very hard early in the series, didn't I?
You did.
I can't do it, man.
Okay. So, in the comments section down below, sell Adrian Fort on Harry Potter. I'm the only one who reads the Harry Potter comments, and I'll respond back to you. So don't feel bad about spoilers, even though I totally spoiled a little bit on this book here. My bad.
It doesn't sound consequential, though.
It doesn't. Make sure you hit the like button as well and subscribe to Strip Cover Lit. We do Adrian Reads Harry Potter every single week, and we'll continue to do so.
You can also find us on Bantam Paradox and Frame Rate. I will try to include links to those channels as well in the description when I build the show, but I am very bad at remembering those things.
Shuffle. Punch me in my right side this week, I will fucking kill you.
No, you won't.
Oh, yeah. All right.
How you figure you're going to get up?
Point.
Good?
Yeah. Good?
Awkward ending? That's fine.
Yeah, I'm about awkward endings. Shit. I was about ready to get there. About 5 minutes in there, I stifled a cough.
Did you?
Because I didn't want to fucking cough and start crying on camera. And goddamn, man,